The Black Lives Matter movement by Elijah Jabel.
The BLM movement was started on April 12 after a teenager named Trayvon Martin was fatally shot by a police officer, George Zimmerman, in Sanford, Florida. The tragedy sparked a nationwide outrage, especially among the youth, and led to mass protests, including school walkouts. It sparked globally in 2020 after the deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Ahmaud Arbery, and is rooted in a long-standing racial injustice and police brutality in the U.S. The BLM movement is for the lives of LGBTQ, disabled, and Black lives along the gender spectrum, and works towards a world where Black lives are no longer systematically and intentionally targeted. The BLM movement fights for resilience in the face of oppression and strives for liberation among all. The BLM movement has driven major shifts in public policy and local governments. 140 new police reform laws were passed between 2020 and 2022, including bans on chokeholds, restriction on no-knock warrants, creation of police oversight boards, and body camera mandates. In Minneapolis, where George Floyd was murdered, the city council pledged to reimagine public safety and invested in community-based alternative. Denver launched the STAR program, sending mental health professionals instead of police to certain 911 calls. Austin, Texas redirected the police budget funds towards housing, mental health, and violence prevention. Local governments across the U.S. initiated changes to school policing, traffic enforcement, and use of force policies. The movement also played a key role in voter mobilization in the 2020 election, particularly among the youth and Black voters, shaping electoral outcomes in swing states. The media has played a critical role in amplifying protests and spreading awareness of racial injustice and police violence. In August of 2014, the Freedom Ride to Ferguson, over 500 activists traveled across the U.S. to Ferguson, Missouri, after the police shooting of Michael Brown. The march mirrored the Freedom Rides of the 1960s, symbolizing national unity, and social media live streams and images drew national coverages and inspired similar protests in other cities. In Milwaukee of 2014, there was the justice to Dontre Hamilton. Hamilton, a man with schizophrenia, was shot 14 times after a confrontation with a police officer in a public park. Police demanded better mental health response training for police and greater accountability for excessive force. Local and national media coverage sparked deeper conversations on mental health and race in policing. In June of 2015, there was a Charleston church shooting. After a white supremacist murdered 9 Black churchgoers in Charleston, the BLM movement called the act an act of terrorism. A 20,000-person march was held across the Arthur and Ravenel Jr. Bridge for peace and unity, and BLM also targeted Confederate symbols, sparking national debate about monuments and systemic racism. In 2015, there was a McKinney, Texas pool party incident where a viral video showed an officer using excessive force on a Black teenage girl in a swimsuit. This widespread outrage of the clip spread online and led to the officer's resignation and sparked dialogue on policing, race, and youth, especially on social media platforms. Social media has helped organize protests quickly and has given us real-time updates, and news outlets have often shaped public opinion, some fairly, and others focusing on the protests and unrest rather than the cause. BLM has effectively used the media to connect local tragedies to national issues, keeping the attention on racial injustice. Social media platforms like Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook have played a central role in shaping how people perceive the Black Lives Matter movement. Viral videos such as George Floyd's murder raise awareness globally, and hashtags like Black Lives Matter, Say Their Names, and I Can't Breathe help humanize victims and spread personal stories. Activists and everyday people could organize protests, share petitions, and hold officials accountable in real time. Traditional media, such as TV, news, newspaper, online publications, had a mixed impact on public perception. Some outlets portrayed protests as dangerous or focused heavily on the property damage rather than the cause, while other social media sources highlighted the systemic racism, police brutality, and the need for reform. The media bias and framing affected the public opinion. While some Americans became more sympathetic to BLM, others were misled into associating the movement with violence or disorder. Representation and entertainment increased. BLM themes were featured in shows like Grey's Anatomy, Blackish, and documentaries like the 13th. Music, art, and sports figures such as Colin Kaepernick and LeBron James amplified messages of racial injustice. And according to the 2023 Pew Research study, more than 80% of black adults said social media was essential in highlighting incidents of racial injustice. BLM has played a major role in raising awareness of systemic racism, prompting more open conversations about race, privilege, and injustice in schools. Concepts like implicit bias, racial profiling, and structural inequality have entered mainstream discussions, leading to changes in curriculum, corporate diversity training, and cultural representation. The movement has made issues of racial justice more visible and urgent in the public conscious, helping people normalize the advocacy for equity and inclusion. BLM has pushed local, state, and national governments to re-examine and reform policing practices. As a result of sustained activism, over 140 new police oversight laws have been passed across the U.S. since 2020. In 2015, the police had only 10 officers charged out of the 102 cases where an unarmed black person was killed. Only 2 of those resulted in convictions, and only 1 of those received jail time, and the other one was sentenced to 1 year but was allowed to serve on weekends only. Slogans like defund the police and Black Lives Matter are often misunderstood or misrepresented in public discourse. Many critics interpret defund the police as a call to eliminate law enforcement entirely, when in reality, most activists are advocating for reallocating some police funding toward community services like mental health care, education, housing, and crisis response programs. Similarly, the phrase Black Lives Matter is sometimes misinterpreted as implying that black lives are more important than others. In truth, the slogan is a response to the historic and ongoing devaluation of black lives in America, and affirms that black lives deserve equal protection and value, not more, just equal. Misunderstandings like this are often fueled by media framing, political rhetoric, or lack of context, which can distort the core messages of these social justice movements and shift the focus away from the urgent issues they seek to address. In conclusion, the Black Lives Matter movement is often seen as the modern-day civil rights movement. It calls for urgent action and meaningful change in response to the ongoing injustice and discrimination still present in American society. Unlike past movements, BLM was born and amplified through social media, allowing everyday people to share their voices and lived experiences on a global scale. One of the movement's strengths was that its decentralized, leaderless structure. This provides protection against individual targeting and ensures that the movement cannot be easily silenced. Rather than relying on a single spokesperson, BLM represents a wide range of people, backgrounds, and identities. Above all, the movement is not claiming that Black Lives Matter more. It's simply affirming that Black Lives Matter too. In a world where systems have long treated other lives as more valuable, this message remains both powerful and necessary. The movement continues to grow, demanding justice, equity, and lasting change for all.